What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show, DFS for Dough here on RotoGrinders. Happy to be bringing you some golf content once again this week. We've got the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs on the PGA Tour with the St. Jude Invitational this week. As usual, you've got myself, Justin Van Zuiden, STL Cardinals 84, the daily fantasy handle, Derek Farnsworth alongside as well, aka Notorious. Noto, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. Winding down the end of the season. These no-cut events aren't exactly my favorite, but at least there's more on the line than usual. So everyone's going to be playing as hard as they can for 4 rounds. But how did the Wyndham treat you?
Yeah, I didn't play a whole lot last week. We were out of town for the weekend, so went to the beach on Lake Michigan. So that was nice for a weekend before the kids go back to school. So I played a little lighter last week. Did manage to follow the crazy drama on Sunday. With Grazerman pretty much imploding on the back 9, and B, with Matt Kuchar deciding not to play the 18th hole until Monday morning. But pretty crazy to me that they were able to basically get all that tournament in by Sunday with the weather.
Yeah, for all the crap we've given the PGA Tour this year with the weather, they finally got it right. So good to see. But yeah, the Kuchar thing was something else. He said he was trying to make a statement about the slow play and then keeping him out there at dark. I just think, I don't know. I don't think there's any excuse for what he did. Made all those volunteers come back out. And it's just more of the saga with Matt Kuchar, the nice guy, being not so nice.
Yeah, I mean, there was also a statement that he said he was trying to prove it to Max that he could wait. But, of course, that was before Rye made his birdie putt to make it basically irrelevant. And I'm sure Max didn't really want to wait around 12 hours to hit his shot anyway after already piddling it away there on the back 9. But yeah, no shortage of drama. First it was, Kuchar not paying his caddy in Mexico a few years back. And then now this with him coming back Monday to finish a golf hole that pretty much had no bearing on the tournament. But that pretty much buries the lead of Aaron Rye continuing his fantastic summer. Been peppering the top of leaderboards lately. He shot 6 under on Sunday and won the tournament by 2. Otherwise, it was a week where we saw a lot of players towards the the bottom of the DFS salary scales that we've been targeting as values. We saw Eric Cole inside the top 10, Ben Griffin inside the top 10. Davis Thompson finished tied for 12th in that big group there with Kuchar, and then also some of the higher end guys. Kudos to anybody who went on the Billy Horschel train last week. He finished inside the top 10. The amateur Clanton was up there as well. But what were some takeaways from the event for you last week?
Yeah, Billy Horschel train continues. I'll be talking about him later too. Good to see him playing well. And I don't know if you saw him cheering on Aaron Rye. I thought that was pretty cool. Even if it was just for the cameras. He seems like a cool dude, if not an interesting one. But, yeah, you mentioned Eric Cole finally playing well again. I think he's got 3 top 10s in his last 5 starts. Luke Clanton, just another impressive finish. I think he was kind of in the mix there until he bogeyed, his 17th hole of the day. And he was playing the opposite 9 as the leaders, which was kind of cool because, they didn't have time to regroup everyone. So he was on the opposite side of the course. But, yeah, interested to see how Grazerman ends up, responding to this after back-to-back second-place finishes. Kind of had this one in the bag. Made a bad decision after he took the penalty on the par 4, ended up making an 8, and then he still was in it and 4-putted the par 3. So, yeah, I don't know what to do with him this week, but definitely good to see Aaron Rye get his first win. Unfortunately, it was on the week I didn't bet him, but did have quite a bit of him in DFS.
Yeah, some bigger names missed the cut as well. It was another tough week for Jordan Spieth, who missed the cut. Shane Lowry missed the cut as well. Feels like there was a couple other names that were kind of right there, a stroke or two off the cut line that might have changed some people's fortunes last week if they would have ended up making the weekend. But it was a tough week to, get everything right with kind of a weird leaderboard. And I'm not sure. I didn't look, but I don't think the 6-6 percentage last week was super high. me see if I can dig and find that, but I'm yeah, so last week, all right, so in the $5, the 6 of 6 percentage was 3.96%. 5 of 6 was only 16.9%. So if you got a 6 of 6 lineup last week, it was probably looking pretty good, at least heading into the weekend. But now we're down to just the top 70 in the standings for the playoffs. They'll cut it down to 50 after this week, and then they'll cut it down to 30 for the Tour Championship. And it's kind of the culmination of what we've seen for a different schedule this year. But we've got 3 more no-cut events here. We had all those signature events over the summer and spring that, were no cut or very limited cut. I don't know. It just feels like we haven't had as many, obviously we haven't had as many, but it just feels like we haven't had a lot at all of the traditional full field events. And, nothing against having the best guys playing together, but it just seems like these 60, 70 man fields, there's just a few too many of them nowadays. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There's just got to be some stakes to Thursday and Friday. If you play poorly, you shouldn't be able to, stick around for the weekend and cash a big check. Even if they just made it 90, 100 golfers, did their usual top 65 and ties, would at least give a little more appeal to the first 2 rounds of these events. But, I mean, if they want to keep the playoffs like this, I like it. But let's get the signature events back to at least, 90 to 100 guys each.
Yeah, I agree with that. Then you at least got something to play for heading into those first couple of rounds from a DFS.
Especially because, like, if you're in the signature event, even if you finish dead last, you're still accruing a bunch of points. You know what I mean? Like, if you get into all the signature events, you're almost automatically putting yourself in a good spot for the FedEx Cup playoffs and then for the next year. So it's harder for guys to move up than it is to move down.
Totally agree. All right, so let's go ahead and turn our attention then to this week. Again, limited field, only 70 golfers. Probably won't take us a long time to get through the analysis this week, but we've got the FedEx St. Jude Championship. This is a tournament that if you go back, 7 or 8 years was a normal, regular PGA Tour stop. Then they tried to make it a World Golf Championships event, and then the World Golf Championship events went away. Then they turned this into the first playoff event, which I believe this will be the 3rd year that this tournament has been the first stop on the playoffs. Hopefully they just kind of let it sit in that spot for now if that's where they want it to be. So they're in Memphis, generally a pretty hot, humid time of year down there. But of course that we have seen, again, in different formats of events, but we've seen it as a consistent stop in some way or another on the PGA Tour for quite a while. Of course, that certainly offers plenty of birdies, but is not the easiest course. I mean, there's not a lot of gimme holes. It's another par 70. The 2 par 5s aren't the easiest that you'll find on tour. So not a course that's generally going to play to 25, 30 under par. But what are we looking at for the venue this week?
Yeah, a lot of good memories from this tournament. Most notably, Will Zalatoris, made that putt on 18 to force the playoff. And then I don't know if you remember, they played the par 3 and Zalatoris hit it right up against the rocks and looked like he was pretty much dead. And then Sepp Straka hit it in the water. So, Zalatoris was able to, I think he just ended up re-teeing 2-putted because Straka went over the green on his 3rd shot into the par 3. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's a par 70, like you mentioned, just over 7,200 yards. So a little bit longer than most of the par 70s that we see on the PGA Tour. Not overly difficult. The winning score is usually between 13 and 16 under par. Very small greens, very narrow fairways. So you're going to see a premium on accuracy off the tee. You're going to see a premium on iron play. And you're going to see a premium on scrambling, just because these greens are so small and difficult to hit on average. We've seen a lot of bad putters play well here in the past. I mean, Glover, Zalatoris, Justin Thomas has won here twice. So I don't mind looking at guys that are just really good tee to green, take my chances with the bad putters. Although that's going to go against how I feel about Scheffler here in about 4 minutes. But yeah, it should be a fun course, ton of water. I think there's water in play on 11 of the 18 holes. So I'm kind of looking at guys that have played well on high water danger courses and strong fields, small greens, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, don't mind the scrambling angle this week as well. Par 4 scoring, given the par 70 nature of the course, and team no putt always a viable option. So totally agree, kind of in alignment with the type of golfers we want to prioritize this week. And again, it's a no cut event. All 70 golfers will be partaking for all 4 rounds. And then the golfers that are in the top 50 after this week will move on to the second event of the playoffs before they cut it down to 30 for the Tour Championship. So with that, we can probably go ahead and shift right into the analysis where Noto just mentioned Scotty Scheffler. He's worthy of a conversation all by himself. And if you look at, the big comeback to win the Olympics was just another notch on his belt for the year. He has 7 victories on the season and 1 finish since February outside the top 10. So 7 wins and 1 finish outside the top 10, 15 top 10s and 17 starts for the year as a whole. So now with that in mind, Noto, you can tell the people why you don't want to play Scotty Scheffler.
It's not that I don't want to. I just don't feel great with starting with him because, I don't know, it's a no-cut event, so the 6K guys are definitely more viable than usual. But I just like to look at my lineups when I start with Morikawa or somebody in the 9Ks. You do, lose some win equity there. And Scheffler clearly deserves to be the top overall guy. But 12-4 is expensive. He's 13-2 on FanDuel. That's more than we've seen in a while. And for whatever reason, this course has given him a little trouble over the years. He's finished T31, T70 the last couple of years. So I'm just hoping he has a mediocre week. And, I'll get back on him next week and at the Tour Championship. If he wins, then, I'll just I'll eat my fade once again because I tried that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so with the 7 wins and the 1 finish outside the top 10 and the fact that with only 70 golfers this week, I mean, if you want any sort of sniff at GPP, you're going to have to probably have the winner unless it's, somebody that's at like 6K. But I just, with 7 wins and 17 starts, I can't fade him. He's 12-4. It leaves you with about 7,500 per player on DraftKings. That's doable. Certainly not going to lock him in this week, but if you're only playing a single lineup, it's a really tough call. I would probably play him if I was only building 1 lineup. If I was building 3 lineups, I'd probably put him on 2 or 3. But, everyone's kind of got to make their own decision on what they want to do with Scheffler, given the nature of this field, the season he's had, and the salary cap constraints. So, I mean, obviously at this point, we're all going to tell you, yeah, he's pretty good. And point noted about the course history. We'll see if that becomes a problem for him again this week. So, I mean, anybody in the 10K plus, we've still got Schauffele, Rory, Oberg, and Morikawa above 10K. Who are you? Are you starting with one of those guys, or are you going all the way into the 9s?
Yeah, I do like starting with Morikawa, but it's kind of funny. We've switched places when it comes to Scheffler. The early part of the year, I was like, just play him until he gives us a reason not to, and that's kind of your mantra now with him. And I'm just trying to get him right with a fade for once. But, I like Morikawa. I think he's a great course fit. Again, good, accurate driver of the ball. Iron's been good pretty much his whole career. And then his short game has been awesome all year. I think he's gained around the green in 6 straight, gained on the greens in 5 straight. He's got good course history here too. Crazy storm going on right now. So if I lose power,
your place, I wondered what that. I kind of heard it a little bit. It's not too bad,
fine. But yeah, Aberg, Rory, Xander. I don't have a strong take on any of them. They're all capable of playing real well here. I will note that course history isn't all that predictive year in and year out, probably due to the high number of water hazards. So if you do want to play, Oberg, he's probably going to be maybe the lowest owned of the 5 up here. I kind of like that for tournaments.
Is that just heavy rain, or is that some hail that I heard there?
Yeah, some wind, rain. I don't know. The trees are sideways, so.
Well, stay safe. If you are exiting the show, we'll know it's probably a power failure due to the storm. But Morikawa, we're in agreement with. I think he's my favorite pivot. If you're not playing Scheffler at the top. At 10K, I think that's perfectly reasonable. He's finished well, like you mentioned, the 2 years that this has been held as a playoff event. And so he will be my preferred option in lineups where I am not starting with Scheffler. I think Rory's fine for tournaments as well if he continues to kind of go a little bit overlooked. But you can't play everybody up there for sure. All right, as we head into the 9Ks, we've got Fleetwood, Cantlay, Victor Hovland at the top of that mix. Fleetwood coming off the runner-up finish in Paris a couple weeks ago. Cantlay has been a little hit or miss most of the year, had a couple of good finishes leading up to the Open Championship. And Hovland has pretty much been off his game as of late. So Fleetwood, the only guy with a pretty good finish in recent history on there out of those three. Also got Matsuyama, Connors, and Henley rounding out the 9K range. Connors still hasn't missed a cut all year. We've seen Matsuyama, when healthy, has posted some good results. Got the bronze medal a few weeks ago as well. So what are you looking at in the 9K range?
Yeah, Hovland's just easy fade for me right now. One top 15 all year. Kind of crazy for a guy that was one of the best golfers on tour last year. No issue with Tommy. He's been playing well, silver medalist. I do like Patrick Cantlay a lot in tournaments. You mentioned a couple of recent top fives at U.S. Open and then the Travelers. And for every reason, he comes alive during the playoffs. We know the guy likes money, so he probably prioritizes this over the majors. He won 2 events in 2021, 1 playoff event in 2022, runner-up here last year. So I think he's going to have a good run through the playoffs, just given the way his game is trending and the fact that he's played so well in the FedEx Cup playoffs in the past. I like Henley. I think he's a good course fit. I think Connors is extremely safe. And then I like Hideki too. So if you don't start with Scheffler, you can start with 2 of these guys or mix and match them with Morikawa. That's kind of why I like the Scheffler fade. But, yeah, I don't know. Is there anybody else you like here?
Yeah, I mean, Hovland, I'm with you on the Hovland fade. I just don't think right now is the time to play him. The knock on Connors earlier in the year was that he wasn't really showing much upside. Does have a trio of top 10s over the past couple of months, so showcasing that upside a little bit more as well. Henley coming off the strong finish at the Open Championship. So I do agree with maybe going with some of those guys lower in that 9K range. I think makes sense. And you can probably do, like if you wanted to do one of these guys plus Scheffler, say Scheffler and Connors or Scheffler and Hideki, that's doable. Still gives you over 7K for your other 4 options. So you're not completely shut out of the 9K range, even if you do want to play some Scheffler. So I don't mind that. Or, the path of starting in here and maybe taking 3 of these guys. That is certainly a path you could take as well. All right, let's go ahead and move into the 8K range. We've got Tom Kim leading off this tier at 8,900. Has been a little hit or miss here over the summer. Tony Finau, Sungjae Im, who has finally kind of turned it on after a slow start to the year. He's been much more consistent of late. Horschel playing well, as Noto talked about at the beginning of the show. Aaron Rai, coming off the win. And basically outside of one poor finish at the Open Championship, has been rolling all summer. His last 7 starts outside of that have all been top 20s. Got JT in here as well. What are you looking at in the 8Ks?
Yeah, interested to hear your take on Aaron Rai. We do see guys get hot this time of year and kind of carry that momentum through the playoffs, but I tend to fade guys coming off their first PGA Tour win, especially if they're going to be chalk. But he projects really well. So what are you doing with Rai this week? Yeah,
this is one of the weird cases where you're probably going to get a winner from the week before that's still like 20% owned. And I think that's probably because he's going to fit a lot of the Scheffler builds. Like it just is easy enough to fit him maybe as your second guy. You go Scheffler, Rai, and then kind of build out your value guys from there. So, or he fits, the completely balanced approach as well. So he just fits so many types of builds that that's why he's going to be somewhat popular coming off the win. I mean, if this is a playoff event, we've got all the best guys on tour here. And if he's going to be that popular this week, I think this is the week in GPP. You play him in your cash games, but in GPPs, I think I'm probably pivoting this week just from a game theory perspective.
Yeah, I think so too. Billy Horschel, half the ownership. He's been in similar form, and he's got much better course history. You got JT, who's won here twice, and nobody wants to play him. He's going to be like a third or fourth of the ownership is Rai. I think he's interesting for tournaments. His form hasn't been all that good, but he plays this event every year, plays well here every year. My favorite play in the 8 is going to be Sungjae Im. mediocre finish last week, but still T12 or better. Native his last 11 starts. The irons are back. The driver's been good. The short game's always good. He likes those short par 70 courses with Bermuda greens. A couple top 12s in a row here. So he'll be my favorite. I'll play some Tom Kim too. Just another one of those accuracy guys that makes sense here. And then, yeah, some Billy Horschel. But nobody else in the eights really stands out. Maybe some Shane Lowry at the very bottom. We have him at like 10% right now. I don't know if that'll hold, but he does project real well for me.
Yeah, and this is the spot where I think, especially if you're looking to differentiate some lineups, if you're playing some chalk at the top, going with a pivot right in that same salary range as Aaron Rye, I think makes some sense. It's part of why I wrote up Cam Young this week. It's not that I specifically like Cam Young. It's just that, we've got him at like 6 or 7% ownership right now. He tends to pop sometimes randomly. And the form, 9th, 6th, 31st, 22nd, he's at least been consistently making cuts. And you just feel like this might be a week where he kind of has one of those random spike weeks at a third or a fourth of the ownership of Rye. You could play the same kind of logic with the Lowry call, maybe not quite as volatile, but low ownership on those two guys as pivots away from Rye, I think makes some sense. And then Sung Jae, pretty hard not to like him at the top of the range right now. I think this range is pretty interesting. We'll probably skip out on the middle guys. Thomas at this point, Thomas just has had one blow up round or two blow up rounds, at least one blow up round almost every time he goes out there. Until we can see him put 4 consistent rounds together, I just can't see playing Justin Thomas at this point. So Sung Jae, Cam Young, maybe a little sprinkle of a Finau or Lowry is probably where I'm going in this range. Anything else in the 8s for you?
Don't think so. We do have a question. So 2-player, one and done. We got to pick 2 from this list here. Tom Kim, Finau, Henley, Connors, Siwoo, Moore, or Seabez. I would go Kim and Henley. Any others stand out to you?
Yeah, Henley was the first. I couldn't track the list there. But Henley was the one that stood out as the one I would definitely go with. Was it Kim and Henley, you said?
Yeah, Tom Kim and Finau, Connors. I wouldn't go with any of the last 3.
We assume this is one that's maybe done after the playoffs, or maybe I don't know if they go through the fall or not. But I'd probably go Henley and Connors if that was me. Kim a third. Close third. We both agree on Henley.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move into the 7K range now. Starts to, obviously you're getting towards the back half of most of the standings at this point, but still some veterans in here. Spieth all the way down to 7,700 continues to struggle. Adam Scott, Matt Fitzpatrick has had a bit of a struggle over the summer as well. None of these guys, Wyndham Clark, the only guy that's basically shown consistency of late has been Adam Scott, who's at 7,700. You could probably, throw Harmon in the consistent mix as well, though we haven't seen as much upside from him lately. I do not like a whole lot between 7,500 and 7,900. I like the lower sevens a little bit better. Is there anything in the upper part of the 7K range that suits you?
No, right there with you. I might play a little Adam Scott. He was T5 here the last time he teed it up. Played well in both of the Scotland events, second at the Scottish and then 10th at the Open Championship. So he's one of those guys that can do everything well. Then I don't mind Brian Harmon. I don't know if he's got, winning upside, but he can give you a top 10, 15 in this field of 7,600. This is definitely a Brian Harmon type of course. And then I'm with you. I like the lower sevens a little better. Seabez at 7,300. Back-to-back top 25s for him. He's a good iron player with a good short game. That kind of plays well here. Alex Noren could be an interesting tournament play. I think Sepp Straka is probably my favorite. He lost in the playoff here to Zalatoris. His recent form doesn't look that great if you're looking at just the results, but the ball striking has continued to be good. He hits a lot of fairways, good iron player. And unlike most of these guys down here, I could see him, finishing in the top 5. He's done that in a lot of these big events. So Straka, my favorite, probably followed by Seabez and Noren.
Yeah, I will throw my hat into the Davis Thompson mix again this week. And again, I mentioned this last week, but if you throw out the 2 events on links, obviously his game isn't, at least at this stage, well suited to link style golf. If you throw those out, he was 12th last week at the Wyndham. He won at the John Deere, 2nd at the Rocket Mortgage, 9th at the U.S. Open, and 27th at the Memorial, dating back to June. So 4 straight top 15 finishes. Still at 7,400. I know it's, maybe a step up for him playing with the big boys in the playoffs, but at 7,400 with the way he's been playing, showing some upside, I'll absolutely play some Davis Thompson this week. Certainly like the Seabass call as well. He just kind of stays around that same price all the time. Pendrith, another guy that I don't mind playing at 7,100. Back-to-back top 5 finishes for him, and he's had a little bit of time off, so I think he's a good GPP play at 7.1K. But again, lots of options in here. If you combine all the golfers between 7K and 7,400, I think, we might have just named off about 6 of them that all make some type of sense. So this is where I think going for your value options makes sense. And again, it fits a Scheffler type of build where if you start with Scheffler and then you have like 7,400 on average for the rest of your guys, you can just mix and match a lot of these guys that we just named here, and it seems to fit that build pretty nicely. So if you're playing Scheffler, you'll probably be utilizing some guys in that range, or maybe going down a little bit further as we go into the 6s. I'll let you have first crack at that. Anybody else standing out to you this week?
Yeah, my 2 favorites are the 2 guys we talked about with the Wyndham Championship, and Ben Griffin, Eric Cole, both coming off top 10 finishes. Both guys that tend to play better on short courses. They both played pretty well here last year. Cole was 231. Griffin was 224. And yeah, I think they both have a little bit of upside. For tournaments, I think Cam Davis would have been real popular if he would have made the cut last week, but he missed the cut. Now nobody wants to play him. I talk about him a lot, and then he plays the same course as well each year, and he's finished 6th and 13th at this venue the last couple of years. Denny McCarthy, an accuracy guy at 6,500. He can light it up on the greens. Victor Perez is a little interesting. He's the last guy in the field, so kind of room for him to make a top 5 finish, something like that, get into next week's event. Outside of that, hoping you have somebody else for me.
Yeah, there's not a lot here. Cole is my favorite as well. I mean, it's funny, if we go back a year, like everyone was playing Cole as the popular value, and he kept producing before he finally got like super expensive. And then that's when he went on his kind of dip in form. And then all of a sudden everybody ignored Eric Cole. And now, the form has kind of come back over the last 5 events. He's got 3 top 10s. And he's gotten cheap again, and we're back to nobody playing Eric Cole despite that. So I'm sure he won't stick at like the 2 or 3% ownership that we had when I looked a little bit ago. But still like him as a value. I'm kind of a sucker for the upside of Nick Dunlap, though there's been too many missed cuts for him to be considered a consistent option. But in a no-cut event, I'll probably sprinkle him in as well. Those are the 2 guys I like the best under 7K. And I don't really have a ton of interest in a whole lot else. Griffin, I like that call. I mean, he probably makes sense as a safer play than some of those others. But yeah, I'm probably not going below 6,500 this week, I don't think.
Yep, agreed.
All right. With that, we will get ready to do our snake draft to close out the show. But before we do that, we'll congratulate last week's winner, which was Notorious, with a dominant performance with the 530 points. And let's see. Oh, my thing got stuck here. So I got logged out again. Seems like that happens to me every time when I start to go through the snake draft results from the week before. It decides to log me out. But so Noto had everybody, 6 full spots make the cut. And did Harris English withdraw last week?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, with a back injury. That's right. It was right before the first round. So he was your bench guy. So you started the week hamstrung with your bench guy determined, and you still got 6 guys through the cut. and won by like 80 points. I finished last with 4 missed cuts. So there you go. That's the story of the snake draft last week. Tug Rules beats out our good buddy Dan Kramer for the second and final cash spot. But all right, time to transition to a new week of a snake draft. If you don't want to stick around, as always, we thank you for tuning in and joining us for a week of golf talk. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like the show. We appreciate that very much. And subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want notifications anytime when we are going live. For those of you who are sticking around, we'll dig into the snake draft here now. There is a $5 blank 0 of 6. So if you aren't familiar, we look for a $5 snake draft with 6 participants and join up on DraftKings, and then we will do that live on air, and I will share my screen. So I am the first one into our 6-man snake draft this week. Hopefully we can get one filled up here. Sounds quiet. Is your storm passing there?
Yeah, it's much quieter out there. We had one yesterday too. My basement flooded, so I'm excited to go down and see what happened.
So is that abnormal for your area to receive heavy rain in one shot? Or I don't feel like you've mentioned thunderstorms like often.
Yeah, definitely rare this time of year for sure.
Climate change.
Am I in the wrong one? Oh, I'm in a baseball one. I was like, what?
Yeah, that'd be the wrong one then. It's still 3 of 6 here, so you got time.
Okay.
And I will I'll post the link in the chat here so that you can get joined up. Bear with us for the housekeeping. All right, we're at 4 of 6 here. Need 2 more to join. And I am looks like producer Steve got it for us. Thank you, Steve. I will post on X as well. All right, that is posted. I saw earlier today that DraftKings has elected not to enact the betting surtax on the high tax states. A couple hours after FanDuel announced that they wouldn't be doing it, so DraftKings has followed suit there. So that's good because Illinois, where I am, is a high tax rate state. So. C-May 3111 says Willie Z's got the best strokes gained total on this track, but only 8 rounds. The best with more than 8 is JT. Both of them in pretty poor form this year. So if you're a course history truther, there can be one for you to test. All right, need one more to join up here to get us rolling. Then next week
next week there'll be 50.
Yeah, only 50 golfers next week.
We can maybe do a 6-man. All right, we're filled. I think.
I still see 5. Maybe it's your baseball one that's full. Or I could be stuck. One of the two.
It disappeared in the lobby, but it's not.
Okay. I'm going to refresh.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep, we're full. All right, second pick this week, of course. I will share my screen and we'll get going here. I was looking at the odds a bit ago. I got to get them back here. Hang on. So poor Peter Malnati, 600 to 1 to win in a 70-man field. That's pretty rough. Miscut, 65th, miscut, 74th, 70th, miscut. I mean, he won, so one win and one other top 10 and absolutely nothing over the last. He doesn't have a top 30 since his win in March.
Crazy.
It's just crazy to me.
All right, you got pick 2. You're moving up.
I did, but I don't like pick 2 this week because I'd just rather pick 4th and take any of the 4 that fall to me.
Yep, which is what I'm doing.
Because I like Morikawa. I think I'm obligated to pick Morikawa, but the correct answer would be to take Schauffele. Maybe. I was going to say maybe the first guy doesn't take Scheffler, but that wish was not granted.
All right, I was hoping to get Morikawa, but I guess I'll settle for Rory.
Better not be a squatter. We're going to have an auto drafter here.
I'll tell it was round 7.
Till round 7. Yep. So there you go. See, Rory just kind of fell in your lap there.
But we joined an empty one, so maybe he just already has his ranking filled out.
Hard to say. We'll be catching grief, though, if he uses the full 30 seconds for every pick. Virtual grief from the virtual host. You're up, just in case you didn't notice.
Oh, yep. All right, let's go. All right, already a very different start from what my lineups are going to look like.
We'll go with Connors, and now 2 picks for Tim Cat. A couple new faces this week.
Do you have any football future bets yet?
I don't, though. I remember finding one that I liked the other day, and then I didn't bet it. I gotta find it. I remember. I gotta remember it. If I get to the wins futures, it'll probably hit me.
I was looking at the strokes gain data from round 4 last week. Cam Young lost over 5 strokes putting. That's just in round 4.
Well, that's good. See, putting, that's a variance. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's bad putting week, so it'll be fun.
Yes, it was under, either depending on which way you want the juice. Under wins on the Chargers is my favorite bet as of now.
What's it at right now?
Well, it's if you want under 8.5, you can get it at plus money at plus 130. Under 9.5 is minus 175. I just don't. I mean, they've got the Ravens castaways at running back. They've got nobody that can catch the ball. They've got an overhyped coach who's getting in trouble, and I'm gonna auto draft. Who am I stuck with?
Cam Young.
That's fine. I wrote him up, and we just talked about him. I got sidetracked on my Chargers bet, and then I took the full time. I apologize. I will not do that here for this next pick, and then I'll go back to my Chargers rant. Got to make sure I don't get stuck with Spieth, though. All right, Davis Thompson. So, yeah, they've got nobody that can catch the ball. They got rid of Keenan Allen. They've got Ravens castaways at running back. They've got a coach that loves to run the ball. They haven't been able to win close games for years. and like people are expecting the Chargers to be over 500. I get it that the Broncos and the Raiders probably aren't very good, but I don't see them beating the Chiefs. I don't know. I'm down on the Chargers. That's my lone take so far. My lone conviction take.
Okay, I like it.
The locals are steaming up the Bears. Bears mania here.
I don't think it's the locals. I think it's everyone.
The locals are especially bad.
Especially Twitter. Our Twitter bubble is all about the Bears.
The one good quarter from Caleb Williams is all that was needed. And I don't have anything against the Bears. I hope they're good for the sake of competitive football in the Midwest. But they seem to be the darling this year and best ball and all that. And last year, the darling team was the Commanders, and that did not work out very well for those who rode the Commanders bandwagon. Well, so far I've ended up with 4 of the 6 guys that I put in my article this week. So I guess my team for this week is going to look a whole lot like my lineups. Oh, we'll go see Woo in the last round. You got any hot takes so far?
Nothing yet. I need to go make some bets. Haven't been out for a while.
Yeah, I got to price shop those Chargers bets a little bit, see what's out there. All right, we are wrapped up. Did go pretty quick there after the first round. Morikawa, Connors, Henley, Cam Young, Davis Thompson, Pendrith, and Siwoo Kim for me. Rory, Fleetwood, Im, Lowry, Straka, Seabez, and Cam Davis for Noto. And that'll do it for us for this week. We'll be back next week to talk to BMW. I'm sure we'll do a show for next week with the 50 golfer field. We usually don't for the Tour Championship when it's down to just 30. We'll just do our written content over on RotoGrinders for that one. But we'll probably bring you a show next week for the second playoff event. So
have you seen the course for next week?
I believe it's in Illinois again, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I was thinking it was in Colorado. Is that not?
Oh, I could be wrong. It's Castle Pines. Yeah, okay. That's the one they all did. I think it was in Illinois last year or a couple years ago. So no, I'm not familiar. I'm gonna have to research that before.
It's like 8,100 yards.
It's in Colorado, so I'm sure it'll be. We'll get some 500. We'll get some Coors Field drives of 500 yards. So
can't wait.
I'll have to look into that. I forgot that they flip that course around. That's the one that they rotate. So Castle Pines in Colorado. We'll bring you more information about that next week. So anything else before we get out of here?
No, good luck, everybody. Thanks for watching.
All right. Thanks to Steve for producing behind the scenes for us as well. For Noto, I'm Justin. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We'll catch you back here next Tuesday. Take it easy.